Hello, everyone. Today we're going to talk about a resource that is quite literally the foundation of our entire world. It's something we see and use every single day, often without even thinking much about it. We are, of course, talking about land. Let's start with something very close to us. The house you live in. Where is it built? Well, it stands on a piece of land, doesn't it? This is probably the most direct way we connect with this vital resource every day. And what about the food that gives us energy? Whether it's the rice, the wheat for our raw teas, or the vegetables, it all grows in the soil, which is, of course, a very important part of the land. Now, think about the roads you travel on to get to school, or the factories that make the things we use. All of this, all our infrastructure, is built upon land. It really is the base for our entire society. So we can see just how essential land is in our daily lives. Now, let's take a moment to understand what land actually means when we call it a resource. Land is the natural resource that supports almost everything: plants, animals, our own lives, and all our economic activities. But here is the most crucial point to remember. Land is a finite asset. That means it's limited. We only have a certain amount of it on our planet, and we cannot create more. This is why we must learn to use it very, very carefully. Now that we have understood that land is a crucial but limited resource, let's see how this looks in our own country, India. Our nation's geography is incredibly diverse, and this variety has a huge impact on how we use our land. This slide gives us a really interesting breakdown of India's landscape. You see, this pie chart shows that about 43% of our land is made up of plains. This flat, fertile land is just perfect for agriculture and for building our industries. Next, we have mountains, which cover about 30%. These are so important as they are the source of our great rivers and are vital for tourism. And finally, about 27% of our land is plateaus, which are like a treasure chest, full of minerals, fossil fuels, and forests. To manage our land well, it is classified into several categories. First, we have our vital forests. Then there's land not available for cultivation. This includes areas used for buildings, roads, and so on. We also have other uncultivated land, like pastures where animals graze. Then you have fallow lands, which are fields left to rest for a while to regain their fertility. And finally, the most crucial for our food is the net sown area. This is the land where our crops are actively grown. So what decides how a piece of land is used? Well, it's a mix of two types of factors. On one side, we have physical factors, things from nature, like the shape of the land, the climate, and the type of soil there. And on the other side, there are human factors, such as how many people live in an area, the technology we have, and even our culture and traditions. This bar chart shows so clearly how much land use can change across the country. In states like Punjab and Haryana, with their very fertile plains, over 80% of the land is used for farming. But in contrast, if you look at hilly states like Arunachal Pradesh and Mizoram, less than 10% of the land is used for growing crops. It's a very powerful example of how geography directly shapes what we do with the land. We have now seen how India's land is used based on its geography and our needs. But this continuous use can come at a cost. We must now turn our attention to a very serious problem: land degradation. So what exactly is land degradation? Well, it simply means that the quality of the land goes down, making it less productive. This happens when we use the land again and again over a long period without taking the right steps to take care of it. And this is critical because about 95% of our basic needs, our food, our shelter, and our clothing, come directly from the land. So when the land is damaged, our own well-being is at risk. The damage to our land isn't just happening by itself. In fact, human activities are the biggest cause. Things like deforestation, which is cutting down forests, overgrazing by animals, irresponsible mining, using too much water for irrigation, and the careless dumping of industrial waste, all of these have played a very big role in causing land degradation. Let's look at a specific example. In states that are very rich in minerals, like Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, and Odisha, one particular activity has had a major impact on the land. And here, you can see the result. In these areas, large-scale mining has led to widespread deforestation. And once the mining work is finished, the land is often just left abandoned, leaving behind deep scars and causing severe long-term damage. Now let's take another example, this time from our major agricultural states. In the northern plains of Punjab, Haryana, and western Uttar Pradesh, the problem isn't mining, but it is related to some of our farming practices. Here, the main issue is over-irrigation. While water is of course essential for crops, using too much of it can lead to waterlogging. This process can actually pull salt from the deeper layers of the soil right up to the surface. This increases the saltiness of the land, which makes it less fertile for growing crops in the future. So we have discussed the serious problem of land degradation and its causes. Now, this situation is concerning, but it is not hopeless. Fortunately, there are many ways to solve these problems and to begin to heal our land. Let's explore some of these important solutions. The solutions are directly linked to the causes we've discussed. One of the most important steps is afforestation, which is planting more trees. We also need to manage grazing lands properly to prevent them from being overused. In dry areas, planting thorny bushes can help to stabilize sand dunes and stop them from spreading. Mining activities must be better controlled. And finally, industrial waste needs to be treated properly before it is discharged. These are all clear, practical steps that can help to reverse the damage. We've covered what land is, how we use it, the challenges of degradation, and the solutions that are available. This brings us to our final and perhaps most important point, our collective responsibility. This statement really captures the main idea. The land we live on today is not just ours. We have inherited it from the past generations, and we have a very important duty to preserve it for the future generations who will come after us. It is our shared home, and we must all do our part to protect it.